Yo, what's happening? So, I just wanted to talk into camera. I felt inspired to do this. I came out in this beautiful weather to do a little bit of yoga, but then I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna press record and just express myself and give you my view on what's going on at the minute, but also how I see us moving forward, and hopefully contribute to what I believe will be a better world to live in. Now, for those who don't know me, my name's Wesley Craig, and I'll talk a little bit about what I do and what my purpose is, what I feel my purpose is, a little bit later in the video. But first I'm going to talk about a fact and two theories. The theories, they're not conspiracies, they've got factual evidence behind them. But the fact is, to start with, this world has been run by an elite 1% cult, deep state, whatever you want to call it, for many years. And they run the world through systems which gives them the power and control to feed their greed, basically. People know who they are. Probably not the very top people, but they know who the majority of them are that run the economy, the banking systems, the media, the schooling systems, the work systems. And basically they use the government as like puppets to keep the people in control and take the power away from them so they can have the power. It's pretty obvious, come on, we all know that. It's why there's so much inequality, so much hate, so many diverse beliefs, because that's how they keep us in control. They basically create propaganda, governments, which, by the way, government, when you break it down, it means to control the mind. Govern means to control, ment means mind in Latin. And they make us believe that certain religions, beliefs, classes are all different, because that causes separation. Now, you have to bear with me because I'm literally just talking off the top of my head here. Now, that's a fact. People know that. People know that there's something not right with the way the systems are and the way the world's run. There's too much poverty. Too many mental health issues. Too much cognitive dissonance is what I like to call it, where there's an inconsistent pattern of beliefs and understanding. Now let's leave that fact for a second, because I'm pretty sure everyone knows that. Let's go on to a couple of theories. The first theory comes from different sources, but the one person who is willing to put it out there is a guy called David Icke. If you've not heard of him, he's been writing books since, well, for the 30 years, since the 90s. And he's known as a conspiracy theorist, but a lot of the things he wrote about have manifested now. They're very prophetic. And he was ridiculed, laughed at, but a lot of what he's saying, there's evidence behind it. And I'm not saying you have to believe him, I'm just giving you his theory. So he believes that this cult, this deep state elite of 1%ers who want all the power and the greed, and are the all-seeing eye that looks down on everybody else, like the pyramid scheme. He believes that there's an agenda behind coronavirus. And coronavirus, no matter what you think of it, it's a metaphor for what's really going on. Now, he's saying that, this David Icke, he's saying that this agenda by these elite 1% deep state cult, whatever you want to call them, like I say, they're going to basically introduce 5G while we're all on lockdown, and people like Elon Musk, Bill Gates are going to use their power, minds, technology to create like an AI, artificial intelligence way of living, to keep the masses in control even more. He also says that this coronavirus, or COVID-19, is something that we all have inside us on a minute scale. And what's happening is, when people are going into hospital, they're amplifying that part of your immune system, this COVID-19, and then saying that any form of illness or death is related to that, which is why people aren't dying of what they normally die of anymore. People are having heart attacks, people are dying of cancer, and they're saying, oh, they tested positive for COVID-19. Of course they tested positive for COVID-19, because we've all got it in us anyway, and the tests they do just amplify that. The way he goes on is a bit doom and gloom, but towards the end of his latest interview on London Real, which got took down off YouTube, he does have the right idea on how to combat what's going on. But if it's true what he's saying, then it's not good. Theory number 2. So theory number 2 is something called Q. Q is an anonymous website, blog, that basically, there's videos as well about it, but it's basically a theory, again, that all the presidents of America in between JFK and Donald Trump were all part of this deep state elite cult, whatever you want to call them. And basically, now Trump's in power, he is working with JFK Jr., who, by the way, if you don't know, supposedly died, but they never found his body or plane that was supposed to have crashed. Them two have been working together, who were very good friends back in the day, and probably still are. They've been working together with a team, a military team, and a bunch of Anons known as Q, to wipe out this deep state elite cult. And if you've noticed, which you'll only notice if you don't actually just watch the mainstream media and mainstream news, which is fed to us by the deep state elite cultists, puppets, then you'll realise that since Trump's been in power, he's done a lot of things that no other president ever did before that. Because they all said they were going to do something and change things, but nothing ever changed. Whereas Trump, and by the way, they made us believe Trump was some idiot racist, like, doesn't know what he's doing, inarticulate idiot. But if you look at some of the things that's happened since he's been in power, like certain people in power and corrupt people. Sorry, this dog's doing my head in. But anyway, yeah, so what was I saying? Yeah, a lot since Trump's been in, there's been a lot of people that are corrupt arrested, exposed, and dealt with like never before. You will have noticed that, you know, lots of paedophiles have been arrested, lots of drug traffickers on the larger scale have been arrested, lots of CEOs of certain corporations have been arrested. Now, this theory that I'm talking about now is saying that Trump, JFK Jr. and Q are, whilst we're on lockdown, working extremely hard to fight what he keeps referring to as an invisible war, and that is taking out this elite cult that has been keeping us at a certain level of consciousness. Again, these are just theories. There's a lot of factual evidence behind them, but what I want to move on to is the fact that forget any theories, just forget what theories are out there, because you're using your conscious thinking mind, and whatever you attach to that will manifest anyway. What I want to do is I want to move on from any theories and talk about where do we go from here. Now, when I talked about that 3D consciousness, that's like a consciousness of separation, and everything happens to me, and I have to be a certain way to get by in life. Then you have a 4D consciousness, which is where people start asking questions and realise there's a bit more to life than working 9 to 5, paying your bills and your taxes. and there's a bit more compassion. There's still like a good and bad perspective of things, but there's a bit more understanding and compassion towards people, and that seems to be like the gateway into what I believe we're able to shift into collectively, even though there's a lot of us individually already at this stage, and that is 5D, where you understand that everything's connected. Now, there's so much information and knowledge out there, especially when it comes to like spirituality, of a 5D dimension, a 5-dimensional consciousness, and knowledge will take you there. Once you're able to think for yourself, not be mind controlled by mainstream media and television, then you start questioning things and looking for answers, which will take you to a different level of awareness. And when I said forget the theories, because that's the mind attaching stuff to it, the heart knows how to get to the next level of consciousness, because you can feel it. It's where your emotion and your feeling comes in. Now, this sun's beautiful, by the way. Now, no matter how much information and knowledge you acquire or take in, which is a good thing to do, because like I said, it'll take you to certain levels, there's no knowledge more powerful than knowledge of self, because that's how you claim your power back. That's how you drop the fear and create that feeling of love, compassion and bliss to shift you into that next level, or a 5D state of consciousness. And like I said, there's many people on this planet who already perceive from that level of consciousness. And what I believe is that the more of us that can understand ourselves, each other, and what's really going on, and that everything's connected, then the quicker we shift into this new earth of 5 dimension, of the 5th dimension, because it has a knock-on effect. As again, we're all connected, so it's like the dominoes effect. Every individual that shifts to that mentality, that level of awareness and perspective, has an effect on the rest and everyone else, and will help them shift. Now, like I said, there's so much information and knowledge out there about spirituality, the different dimensions, quantum physics, law of attraction. There's many gurus out there who will talk about compassion and love, but the quickest way to shift into that 5th dimension is to become aware of your unconscious programming, of which the conscious mind cannot access unless it is displayed in plain sight. Now, I believe we're all here for a reason. None of us are here by accident. We all have a gift, we all have a talent, we all have a purpose that we need to share and provide to the world as a service, and a genuine, authentic service to help not only us grow as individuals but as a collective. Now, the system that I use and I've been working with for many years is the one thing. No matter, I used to study and read into a lot of things, like a lot of knowledge and stuff like that, because I had time, which is, again, it's the reason why most people don't have the knowledge, is because they've been stuck in that rat race. But it was never for me, that 9 to 5 lark. As much information and knowledge that I came across, there was nothing that shifted me quite like self-awareness and being able to see my unconscious programming, my imprinted traits, behaviour, life cycles, patterns, which we can get from things like astrology, numerology, Enneagram. There's many different ways of becoming self-aware. One of the main ways of being self-aware is just experience, but experience can only access the conscious and subconscious mind, whereas when you see your actual blueprint, your imprinted traits that are in the unconscious, something happens in the brain. It's like must be some sort of chemical reaction, but it shifts you, because what happens is, not only do you realise that we all have an ego, but you also realise that even though we have choices, we have these habitual imprinted traits that make us behave and respond to things a certain way, and we all perceive, process and respond differently depending on our experiences, but the way we do that is imprinted within our date of birth. And I'll go on about numbers a little bit shortly, but what I'm trying to get at is the things that happen when you're aware. Again, everything's awareness. When you're aware that we have these imprinted traits, is one, you stop judging yourself and others. Two, you stop comparing and drop the ego, dissolve the ego. And three, you have this like compassion and understanding towards why people do things, which is the key to making that shift into a fifth dimensional consciousness. Now, while we're on lockdown, and while we're not in that madness, that rat race and system of control, it's obvious to me that this is what needs to happen. People need to access their unconscious, drop their beliefs, which comes from the mind, and know that what they feel deep down inside is the only truth. And can you imagine a world where we don't judge each other for our beliefs and our choices, and we just stay centered within ourselves? Because the only thing that makes us react to things is the fact that we have this idea of what's right and wrong, or good and bad, that we've created in our minds. And that's like a prison, because what happens then is you're trying to force people and the world to be a certain way. The world's going to happen anyway. As much as you can change the outcome of things by the way you perceive, process and respond, the universe, the world is going to unfold in front of us anyway, so we're better off just accepting and acting rather than reacting and resisting, because that's when we have this collective shift. Now, the system that I'm talking about and I used to become self-aware, and I've been doing a lot of one-to-one stuff over the years, as well as public speaking events and just sharing my knowledge with people. It's something I came across at a time I know I was ready to shift, and not only did it help me shift and give me a greater understanding and that inner peace and blissfulness, but I also realised that it was something I understood at such a deep level that it was for me to share, and my purpose was to make people aware of it so that they can gain back their power and help them shift into a higher level of consciousness. Now, there's a lot of information and posts on my Instagram feed, which is called Wink Key, which has lots of connotations behind the name, but if you go on there and not only look at some of the posts but read the caption attached to the posts, then you'll see where I'm coming from. And if you really want to help the world get to a better place and be in alignment with the change, know what your purpose is and your strengths are, and your weaknesses and your lessons in life and other people's, so that we can get to that level of compassion, understanding, then I suggest you take this time. And I'm not selling my business or anything like that. I give these readings out for next to nothing, just a little bit of a donation towards my time, like I always say, but because I know that at some point I'll be sharing this on a bigger scale. So money doesn't bother me. The universe will always provide what you need. And again, I love my words, so money comes from mon, which is mono, which is one, and I, EY, it comes from I. So money is just a concept, an illusion. The real money is your third eye, that one eye there. That's where the power is. And like I said, there's loads. I could talk forever about the information and knowledge that's out there, but trust me, if you want to shift into that next level and help the collective become a better place and more in harmony, and shift to a new earth of 5D and not 5G, because that's being dealt with anyway, then take this time to go about getting knowledge of self any way you like, basically, but feel free to contact me. Go on my Instagram page and reach out just to get either a written or video reading that I promise will help you shift and see things from a different perspective, a higher level of awareness, and then you'll stop allowing the external to affect your internal peace that is always there. That awareness behind the awareness, like most of us just function and perceive through our five senses, but I promise there's more to it. Everyone knows it. That's why meditation works and yoga and all these things that bring about union and understanding, that deeper meaning to life. Everyone has got it inside them, but they're just so caught up in an ego-based consciousness that they can't access it. So invest in yourself a little bit instead of just toilet roll. And I'll write you out or give you a video reading to get you of your blueprint of your unconscious programming, your patterns and stuff like that, which will give you that power back and stop thinking that the world has to be run by this 1% and that it's got to be a certain way, because the only way that they can do that and control us is through fear. And promising now, when you realise who you really are, that fear just goes away. So again, I'm going to wrap this up in a minute, but if every single person on the planet had a written version of their deep unconscious program, because it's not astrology or numerology, it's a lot deeper than that. It's based on sacred geometry of the numbers, and numbers are powerful. They all have an essence and element attached to them. It's how the matrix is formed, it's how matter's formed. There's a maths behind everything. If everybody had this access to their unconscious programming and raised their level of awareness, then I promise that the world is going to be a different place, a better place, and we can leave this place in a much better situation than it has ever been for the ones that come after us, the children of today, their children and their children. Because if we don't all come together and raise our levels of awareness, then we're just going to allow this small percentage of people who control our minds and run the world to just make it worse and worse. It's not going to happen anyway, because there's too many people waking up. And again, I've said it before, everything happens for a reason, and the shift is happening now. There's a change coming. We're not going to go back to normal, because normal wasn't working. We're going to move into a 5D global consciousness where there's more love than hate. There's got to be a balance. Obviously that's another subject to do with yin yang, but all I'm trying to say is that your perspective individually will have an effect on the perspective globally, and the way we respond to stuff, the way we process things will determine our reality. Nothing else will be able to affect that once you understand who we all are and why we're here and how we can come together to make things better than they are, basically. Anyway, I'm going to be doing a lot more videos, probably a bit more structured and better than this one. But I just wanted to speak and talk. It probably sounds a bit monotone, a bit weird, whatever, but I don't care. I just wanted to express myself. And if you have watched this and you are still listening, then fair play to you, because it means you're at a certain level of awareness and ready to wake up. And again, invest in yourself, grow yourself mentally, physically, spiritually to a place where you understand what's really going on. Forget all the theories. Listen to your heart. Peace.